A months-long probe by KSAT Investigates found a wide disparity in how often Bexar County civil judges are listed as available for presiding court.
So some appeared on scheduling sheets only around 70% of the time, and that left other judges to pick up the slack. One judge tells our Dylan Collier that it's time to modify or even abolish the current system of farming out cases.
On a weekday morning this fall, plaintiffs, defendants, and attorneys gathered at Bexar County Presiding Court. KSAT cameras were not allowed inside as people appeared in person or via Zoom on large television monitors, all waiting for their respective civil cases to be called, then assigned by the presiding judge to one of the other civil courts.
I call it spinning the wheel of fortune, because you don't know which judge you're going to get.
Leslie Sahanovich worked in the civil section of the Bexar County District Attorney's Office for a decade and a half before moving into private practice. In his words, he grew up in this courthouse and has had a front row seat for the presiding system. Instead of a divorce, lawsuit, or any other civil matter being assigned to a single judge when it's filed and staying with that judge for its duration, all sides meet here. The judge overseeing the presiding court then hands the case to an available judge somewhere else in the courthouse complex. The county's civil district court judges take turns acting as presiding judge, often for several weeks at a time.
There really is no most appropriate way. I'd be candid with you, because every system you have, people are going to be critical of.
Working off a tip, KSAT Investigates began to look at how often civil court judges were available to assist presiding. Daily court status sheets like this one show who's available. They are records a majority of the judges did not want you to see.
KSAT this summer asked for court status sheets covering January through the end of July. Weeks later, Ryan Anderson, who serves as general counsel for the Bexar County Civil District Courts, informed KSAT our request was denied. Although there are no local rules for how many days a judge is required to be available, even judges assigned to jury trials are supposed to assist with presiding from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Anderson, who did not want to be interviewed on camera, later told us each judge has committed to assisting presiding court for at least an hour each morning. But a substantial majority of those same judges voted on a course of action that included not releasing the records to us. We got them anyway. A source provided KSAT sheets covering mid-January through the end of July, 133 days that court was in session. Several judges were available slightly over 70% of the time. More than half were in the 80s. Two judges, Nadine Nieto and Christine Hortick, both in their first year in office, were available for presiding more than 90% of the time. Of the 14 judges, they were the only two who allowed KSAT to record footage of them working. Judge Hortick, in a written statement, telling KSAT the presiding system as it currently exists can be very inefficient, frustrating, and costly for parties seeking to be heard on longer matters. She took it a step further and suggested it should be significantly modified or done away with completely. After KSAT reached out to Judge Tony Arteaga, who tied for last in court availability, we got a message back that she was out of the office. After KSAT followed up days later, she told us she would be happy to schedule time for an interview, but then did not respond to another follow-up email asking what day and time she would be available. Judge David Canales, who also had an availability of 71%, told KSAT in a detailed response the status sheets don't always provide a full picture of the duties and challenges in his role as a district judge. Among his 38 absences, Canales blamed at least 6 on a serious health challenge this year that required medical attention. 14 days were spent preparing for and attending continuing legal education seminars, and 6 absences were attributed to Canales presiding over hearings in the Eagles courtroom, the county's court for teenage boys in foster care. Judge Rosie Alvarado, local administrative judge for the civil district courts, telling KSAT in a letter the status sheets alone are not an accurate record of judicial attendance or effort, and, quote, do not factor in the judge's other judicial responsibilities, which only grow as a judge becomes more established. Noting it's the more experienced judges who are usually saddled with overseeing court programming, operations, and legislative advocacy.
The only people that can hold the judges accountable are their bosses or their supervisors. Those bosses or supervisors are the electorate.
Sahanovich said there's a potential legislative solution as well, pointing to the state of Florida, where Supreme Court justices and appeals court judges are appointed by the governor. Voters then eventually vote yes or no to keep them in a process called a merit retention election. For KSAT Investigates, I'm Dylan Collier.
In addition to that, the records show as few as 5 judges were available to assist with the presiding docket on certain days in March this year. And that figure includes visiting judges who were temporarily brought in to help handle the caseload. Court officials told KSAT that those days took place during spring break when the courts already had a reduced docket. Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. And once again, thanks for watching KSAT.